Okay, welcome back. This is Andrew and Sharon again. Hello, Sharon.
Good morning. How are you?
Good evening. I am very
Okay.
well.
Good. Good. I forget, 8 hours difference in Scotland.
That's right. Although I think we fly back a week today.
Oh, wow.
And, it's been fabulous to be here. I'm here in Scotland because my mum had surgery, so we came and looked after her. But this being away, isn't it? That change, being away from where home is, can be quite discombobulating again, can't it?
Yeah, but it's also refreshing and rejuvenating. I mean, I don't know about you, but Scotland's so beautiful. I can't imagine what it'd be like to come home to LA and just go, oh, here we are. I mean, it's just such a different scenery that it's just, I don't know.
The grass is always greener on the other side, though. It's always. I mean, I lived in the UK, and then you look at California, and you see the beaches, and you see the mountains, and you go, "Wow, I got to go there. It looks amazing."
Yeah, that's true.
But it's all about being happy with what you are and what you've got, and which see that segue? Look at that.
Yeah, perfect.
It really brings us back to the whole point of this conversation for the last 4 weeks, which I have thoroughly enjoyed and learned a lot from. But that's the point, isn't it? I mean, the idea of how to heal yourself with grieving is ultimately to get you to a point where you can be happy again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I have a grief group on Thursdays, and that was exactly one of the things that I was talking about. And, because I noticed when they walked in yesterday, a few of them were actually smiling, and if I'd thought about it, how they were maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, I mean, they walked in crying, and so that whole feeling like, I'm sad and I lost somebody I loved, or I went through a divorce and I'm devastated, or my pet died, or whatever it is, my job is on the edge. There is a way to feel happy again and to go from, living and existing and making that, daily trudge, but to being something that's more joyful and gives you hope again. And it is true. It can happen. I see it every day. And it's so important, not to live in the pain. And I think that's the big thing, is you can let go of the pain. Just because you're grieving and sad doesn't mean you have to be in pain. And we kind of feel like we have to be, right? We beat ourselves up and we kind of perpetuate the pain because we think we should be suffering, but we don't have to suffer. We can still be sad and not be in pain.
It's a huge point, isn't it? The guilt that goes with grief.
Yeah.
Sorry, well, I mean, you must come up, it's the guilt of, when is it okay to move on? When is it okay to feel happy again? And then that's a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been trained through the grief recovery method not to use the word guilt, because guilt, technically, if you look it up in the dictionary, it implies intent to harm, which means that whatever the situation was, you had some sort of malicious intent, to do harm. And 99% of the people don't. And so they beat themselves over something that really they had no intention of doing. So we like to call it, I've been trained to call it, unresolved grief. And what that means is there are things that we wished we could have, the coulda, woulda, shouldas, we could have done differently, better, or more often, right? And sometimes that can be things that we said, or things that we didn't say, things that we did, things that we didn't do. I think people live with that. It's like the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and it's not really guilt. It's just, I don't know if regret's a better word, but we call it unresolved grief.
I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
Because guilt isn't fair. I mean, with your dog, I mean, there's nothing to be, you didn't do anything malicious, and when you think about it from that perspective, it softens how you treat yourself, right? It softens it. And we need to be loving and kind to ourselves when we're grieving, not, beating ourselves up because we did or didn't or whatever. So you can resolve the unresolved stuff.
There's the, I mean, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of being happy, there's the survivor unresolved grief. That's brilliant. I'm totally going to adopt that language because it makes so much sense to me. And I'll give you a real specific example that's happening right now. So my dad died 3 years ago this March, and he had this big chair. It was his chair, and you could do the handle and the legs pop up, and that was his chair. And so when he died, my mum's been on her own now for 3 years, but she has, she took over the chair, and it was his chair. But the chair's old and knackered now, and the chair really has to go because it's now, being detrimental. And we've seen her go through this process of when is it okay to get rid of the chair? And, she has this, what I guess I would have called up to about 2 minutes ago, guilt about getting rid of the chair or moving on. But that's explained through the lens of unresolved grief. That's bloody genius. I mean, go on.
So, no, I was going to say, we tend to hold on to stuff. And it really is up to the person when they're ready. But I think, different people have different opportunities or different feelings about when it's okay to let go. And they think if they let go, they're letting go maybe of the person or the person's memories. And reality, you're not. I mean, and you have to get to a place where you feel okay with that. I know I just went through the garage at my mom and dad's house to go through my dad's stuff. I mean, he had stuff everywhere. It was very neat and organized, but it was just like everywhere. And it really took me like 6 weeks, one day, every day for 6 weeks to go through it. And it was hard to let it go because I thought I kept apologizing to him, like, I'm sorry, Dad, I have to get rid of this. I don't know why you saved it. I mean, it really had nothing to do about my love or my memories of him. It was just that feeling that we put on ourselves, right? That if we let go of them, we're let go of these things, we're letting go somehow of them. And we're not, because they're in our hearts, right? So right. You have to be ready for that, though. You have to be ready for that.
Did you feel the unresolved grief as you were getting rid of things?
I did to a certain degree, only because it was so neatly organized and he saved a lot of things. And I think a lot of it's the generation, right? They hold on to things. And he had a lot of stuff. I mean, he had like the love letters that my mom and dad had written to each other when he was in the Navy. He had all these like knickknacks. Like my mom had a clown collection when we were little. It was pretty gross, but he saved it. And I'm like, Mom, I think it's time. It's time to let go. We aren't letting go of the memories, and we're not letting go of Dad. We're just letting go of the stuff. And I think sometimes, people equate stuff to, that person, and, the memories live on. So coming to terms with that unresolved grief and working through it. And, I apologized the whole time I was giving it away. I'm like, Dad, I'm sorry, I'm going to give this away. It's time, and I'm sure he doesn't even care at this point, but it's more how we carry it, right?
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? It's about being in a place where you're no longer hurting, you're no longer in pain, you're no longer negatively affected by, the grief or the experience that you just went through.
And beating yourself up. People beat themselves up, and it really isn't doing them any good to beat themselves up. So being loving and gentle with yourself when you're grieving. In fact, a friend of mine wrote a book called Be Gentle With Me, I'm Grieving. You have to be gentle and loving to yourself.
Right. So let's just recap on the course. So the course, it's an online course, take anytime, anywhere. It's how to heal yourself when you're grieving, and it's broken down into the 4 parts. You want to just give us the recap again of the 4 parts?
Yes, there's 4 parts. The first part is called the basics, and that's really just a general overview of grief, some of the traditional ways we've dealt with grief or not dealt with grief, and why they do or don't work. We talk about energy healing and Reiki, because that's a big part of helped me, and I wanted to share that with others. So there's some basic concepts there. Then part 2 is the physical, and we talk about how grief affects you physically, you know, the illnesses that can occur, and just some very simple self-care daily practices that you can take on to keep yourself healthy when you're grieving, because you need stamina to get through such an emotional, you know, something that's so emotional. The third part is the physical. I screwed up. First part, second part is the emotional, third part is the physical. So let me go back to the second part. I wish we could edit this. The second part is the emotional, and that has to do with how our emotions, you know, that we deal with, not only the sadness part, but also anger, worry, fear, and how we can let go of that so our heart can heal. The third part is the physical, and I already talked about that. And then the fourth part is the spiritual. And really, you know, whether you're religious or spiritual or not, there are certain things in your life like, you know, losing hope and feelings of gratitude. When you can find little ways to get that back and become, you know, a little bit more aware of those feelings, you can begin to heal. So we talk about that in the spiritual part.
And you've had, I mean, some early feedback of people going through part 1. I mean, what's the feedback you've been getting?
The feedback's been positive, very positive. We also have some activities with each of the modules. So we have some meditations, we have some things that you can actually, exercises that you can go through from a Reiki perspective, just some very simple things. And people seem to very much resonate with those because it gives you some practical application of the points and topics that we discuss in the lessons. So I've been very happy to have received so much positive feedback about the course. It's been great.
So, I mean, there's a lot of time and expertise that goes into, you know, putting something like this together. And there's a cost associated with delivering it. So I understand you're pricing the modules at $25 a module, but part 1 is free and there's a deal on at the moment?
Yeah, right now I've got it as trying part 1 is for free. And then actually there's a special right now that if you sign up for parts 2, 3, and 4, it's only $25. So you actually get a whole 4-part course for $25 instead of the $25 for each part. So that's a $75 savings on the entire course.
Which is pretty bloody cool.
Pretty think so.
Bloody cool indeed.
I think so.
Alrighty, it's been a blast, and I've learned a crap load myself. Thank you, not least today's brilliant Unresolved Grief thing, because I love it when you get those little insights and they just go boom, and you go, well, hell, that makes absolute sense, doesn't it? Yep. So, all right. Well, we might do more of these. You know, Sharon and I have been discussing. I mean, grief is a massive topic. The Musicto Grief 2 list isn't going anywhere. Yeah, and we haven't even talked music really in these series. So, anything coming up for you on the horizon? Anything, Sharon, you want to bring people's attention to before we sign off today?
Actually, I'm going to try to start, because of what we've been going through, kind of a Facebook Live once a week, you know, kind of, I call it the Grief and Healing Corner, where, you know, people can come in and talk about what they're going through and how they're helping others, what their journey has led them to. So we'll see what that turns into. And I want to thank you, Andrew, for everything that you've done for me. I mean, I'll cry right now, so I don't want to go there, but I so appreciate you taking a chance on this course, and me mostly, and for taking your time, because we have talked a lot over the last few weeks. People are probably going, what is going on? But I've enjoyed it, and I've learned so much from you as well. So thank you. I from the bottom of my heart, there aren't words really to express my appreciation.
Yeah, well, look, we get to put good stuff out in the world, and that's a super thing to do with your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, people, you know where the link is. It's probably there, and it's down there. Go and check out part 1, because it's really good. It will open, you know, so many opportunities. Sharon, thank you very much. Everybody, we'll catch you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.